Welcome to Wednesday. It's August 20th, 2025. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by the Advocates Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, don't face it alone. Get an experienced local Wyoming attorney on your side. Free consultations at WyomingAdvocates.com or call 307-800-1952. You deserve an advocate. Well, as we take a look at where we are here midweek, we're reaching the peak of the dryness and temperatures over the next 24 to 36 hours or so, as the high pressure will be at its strongest. So what we're going to see is less in the way of thunderstorm coverage across all of the western United States. In the northern plains today, we'll see a little bit of an uptick tomorrow, but today is likely going to be the hottest and the driest for most areas. Then we have this convergence of moisture coming westward from the plains, and then a cold front diving out of Canada. As we get into Friday, this weekend, and into next week, this will be the pattern. Colder air pushing in from south central Canada up against the Continental Divide, while high pressure is west of the divide with moisture trapped underneath it. So that is still suggestive of better rain chances for folks along and west of the divide this weekend and next week. Now, if you're under the cooler, drier Canadian air, you're actually going to have some really pleasant August weather when a lot of times it's super, super hot. It's actually going to be very pleasant for a lot of the nation east of the Rockies in this pattern, as we'll see here in a moment. But we're still dealing with the extreme dryness and the fire activity ongoing, especially with the Red Canyon fire in Wyoming, producing a lot of smoke. Here's smoke in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Then you can see from the Casper air tanker base, the fire visible from Casper. And speaking of the Casper air tanker base, if you want to know who's behind those big airplanes fighting these fires, there's the Casper tanker base crew, including the dog mascot there, as you can see there. So thanks, guys, for all your hard work and dedication to working on these fires. And smoke is pretty widespread and growing, not only from that fire, but other fires burning across Idaho and portions of the Intermountain West, although you can see the smoke plumes in Colorado have decreased a bit due to the rain that did fall on those fires over the weekend. But we've got some very dry conditions here to get through. If you want to know where the moisture is, it was in the southern areas. This is shot from Trinidad, Colorado yesterday. And then finally, for areas of western New Mexico, nice rain finally rolling in yesterday evening. But we're going to see the moisture really thin out over the next couple of days. So we'll have clear skies and shots like this out of Bighorn. And then one good thing about a big high pressure ridge is you don't get a lot of wind. Look at the water there at Lake Ray and Wind River Country. Great shot there. Boy, you don't see that very often. Calm waters in Wyoming, but high pressure will do that this time of year. The satellite imagery shows a lot of red and orange. We do have subtropical moisture down here in Arizona. That's where we're going to see some thunderstorms again today. You can see Hurricane Aaron out there in the Atlantic. Speaking of which, it does look like it's going to go out into the water. It's going to curve off and miss the coast, thankfully. But, there's more behind it. We've got two other waves, kind of the wave train out of Africa. This is what you watch this time of year. So there's the potential for more down the road. As we go through, this is at the noon hour today. There's the strong high near the Four Corners area. Here's Aaron. And basically what we have is a typical August regime right here. But up here, this low is going to strengthen, intensify, come in and take a dip down into the Great Lakes as we get into Friday and the upcoming weekend. But we're going to see the relative humidities at rock bottom today. This is for 3 p.m. this afternoon. So this is the forecast of your relative humidity by 3 o'clock this afternoon, which is usually your warmest, driest part of your afternoon hours. And you can see we've got an area right here where relative humidities are going to be less than 10%. Can't get much drier than that. So you can see the extent of the dry air is really getting further out and further north and to the east. But here's your bullseye right here, right on top of northwest Colorado, Wyoming, and parts of northeastern Utah. So this is going to be another day of a lot of fire activity. Thunderstorms, as you can see, are not going to want to form in that dry air, but around the edges. We don't see a lot of activity today. Relative humidities at 3 p.m. tomorrow start to get a little bit better. They're not great, but you can see that by 3 p.m. tomorrow, we're starting to entrain some of that moisture underneath that high. So we'll start to see a little bit more in the way of afternoon and evening thunderstorm coverage. Then as we get into Friday at 3 p.m., you can see moisture increasing. Relative humidities are up along and east of the divide. That's because of the cold front. But west of the divide, now these numbers are low, yes, but you're actually seeing relative humidities that aren't bad for late August in those areas. And that will increase the thunderstorm coverage as we head into Friday. As we go into the weekend, what we're going to see is the dynamic of that cooler, drier air pushing in along and east of the divide, and this moisture staying west of the divide. And there it is. By Saturday morning, we have a cold front that has basically pushed its way through. Northwest winds aloft are coming on in, and the high retrogrades a little bit back into western areas of Utah. And that cooler air, drier air out of western Canada will overflow and spill into the central United States, while the moisture is being brought in underneath the high, as we've been showing you here over the last several days. So we'll do that precipitable water loop again, and you can see through the course of the end of the week, the weekend, and then through the course of next week, there's a lot of blue, green, and white in the Intermountain West and the Great Basin. And up here, this dry air you're seeing, there's the cold front. There's the cooler, drier air out of Canada heading into the Midwest. But you can see that the moisture is bottled up and kept out here. So we should be looking at basically a pattern that just recycles every day in the Great Basin in areas west of the divide, but along and east of the divide as well. But you got to be closer to the moisture. This cooler, drier air out into the plains will occasionally stymie thunderstorm activity at times kind of in this area, but it will keep the thunderstorms going west of that circle I just drew. And you can see that in the 15-day precipitation forecast. I'm showing this every day just to show the consistency and show that the general trend remains the same, which is wet where that moisture is trapped and a lot more shower and thunderstorm activity west of the divide that we've seen in a long time. So the European model, the basic European model, the AI version, and the AI ensemble version. The ensemble version, which I'm showing you here, is a collection of a lot of different model runs added together. And they're all basically singing the same tune here. You can see this little hole. This is because of that cooler, drier Canadian air up there. So this is a totally different pattern than we've seen all summer. So there is help on the way, especially along and west of the divide, but we've kind of got to get through the next 24 to 48 hours here before those humidities increase and the chances of showers and thunderstorms return to the region. As we get into next week, this is by late Tuesday into next Wednesday, heck of a trough in eastern Canada, sending winds aloft. Look at that. That's quite a dip for late, we're getting into late August here. So you expect to see frontal activity picking up, and it is. This is going to lead to temperatures from Saturday through Thursday of next week across a lot of the nation well below average. This is about as comfortable as you're going to get August, with that drier air punching into some areas of the U.S. that have been very, very humid all summer. So sigh of relief here, break from the heat and just really comfortable drier conditions. This patches of blue interspersed with red and orange here is showing where the shower and thunderstorm activity is going to be the most common. Then we're still looking at an early September cold front. We'll just continue to keep an eye on this, but it looks like just after Labor Day, we're going to have a taste of fall in parts of the Intermountain West. If the system comes in like that, it may end up getting cut off the coast. We'll just keep an eye on it, just a bit of a teaser there. Have yourself a good Wednesday.